Greetings to everybody. My name is Srivatsan Venkata Subramanian, currently pursuing my final year BTech Biotechnology at Shastra University. Today, I'll be presenting on the topic Special Economic Zones. What are these SEZ zones? Special Economic Zones are areas in which business and trade laws are completely different from the rest of the countries. They do not follow the trade laws or the business ethics of the rest of the countries or the conventional rules. SEC zones are located within the national boundaries, but usually located at the vulnerable spaces where business are not yet flourished but do have the potential. Their aim includes increasing trade balance, employment, increased investment, job creation, and effective administration. These are done to encourage business to set up in these such zones and develop them. These policies encompass investigation, taxation, trading, customs, and labor regulation. Additionally, these companies may be offered tax holidays, which, upon establish themselves in these zones, are granted on a period of lower taxation. That means where the taxes are reduced in these such zones for a particular period of time so that their business can flourish. The benefits a company can be gained in special economic zones may mean that it can produce and trade goods at a lower price and aim to be globally competitive. So let's see the history of this special economic zones. Initially at Kandala, which is in Gujarat, exporting processing zones were created, that is the EPZ zones. But these EPZ zones were not as effective as in history of SEZs, the India in this the economic reforms were quite rigid and they did not provide proper labor laws and they had poor infrastructures. So it was quite the FDI was quite deteriorating in India. Thus, these SEZs were invented. During the period of FEZ, certain zones like Vitala, Chennai, Cochin, Noida, Visakhapatnam, and Surat were established in the year of 1989 and 1997. But during this period, there was not much economic reforms and there were not much subsidies for these places. So there were not much flourishment in the FDI zone. So for this, SEZs were invented. So what was the need for this SEDs? The idea was to promote exports from the country and realizing the need that the level of playing need was required to be this is for was done for the domestic enterprises to compete at a global stage. This was also established for foreign investors in India to come and set up their business in our country and to provide a proper FDI, that is the foreign direct investment. This provided proper facilities, electricity, road, transport, and storage for them so that they could set up their businesses in our country with much ease. So, what is the role of SEZ in Indian economy? The role of SEZ in Indian economy is to provide international competitive environment. When you give such subsidies to companies in our country, in such zones, they are way more equipped to compete at an international stage as their business could be reached at a global level. These also encourage the FDI and also contribute to the GDP. This increased global share of the global export. They also generate employment opportunity as they set up their industries as such zones. So those local people would get employment opportunities and would get enough income and would contribute to the Indian GDP. They also boost infrastructure development as these such zones are set up in zones where they are less developed initially, but once these businesses are set up there, these due to the system there are much needs. So transportation or the raw materials, all these will flourish in that zone and they'll be much more developed. They will promote investments opportunities and they will also promote export of such goods. This also boosts the extra economic activities of the country. Special economic zones have certain rules which they have to follow. Rules provided for this SEC are simplified procedures and to develop, operate and maintain an SEZ and also set up units and conduct business in these SEZ zones. They also provide single window clearance. Single window clearance is basically you don't have to go around for your certificates or you don't have to go to different places for getting their approval. You can just go to one specific zone to get up all and set up your unit for SEZ if you're setting up your business SEZ. They also provide single window clearance for matters in the central and the state government. If you don't need to go around other places to set up to gain permission from the central and the state, you need to just go to certain one specific window and you have to get your certificates clear. The simplified procedures and documentation focuses on certification. They also allow self-certification, and thus that makes the procedure and the documentation much more easier for setting up your business in these such zones. Features of Indian SEZ are: Indian SEZ policies provide for development of these zones in government, private, or joint sectors. It provides in all three sectors, government, private, or joint. So this offers equal opportunity in both Indian and in international private developers. There's 100% FDI is permitted for such zones, except for the negative listed activities for obvious reasons. In additional to duty exemptions, like as how normal businesses in set up in India and other zones would have to provide duty, these duties are exempted. The units in India SEZs do not have to pay any income for the first 5 years and only have to pay half of the income for the later next 2 years. That is, they have 100% duty exempted for the first 5 years of their tenure, and if they want to continue, they will have to provide only half of their duties like the other zones for the first 2 years, and after that they could check if they want to continue the business or not. No import license is required like you have to require in other business in other zones. Exemption from custom duty on the import of capital raw materials and spares. Exemption from external excise duty on capital goods, raw material, consumption spare, and domestic markets. No routine examinations like other by the customs would be done in yours, like it's done in the other businesses. With additional to these subsidies, there are problems that occur during the SEZ. These problems are large-scale unjustified acquires for land. There are a lot of lands that are acquired at the large stage because these companies are set up. They are accommodated in a large space that is not required for them. So these lands are sort of not required, but they're still occupied by these businesses. Uh, there's a loss of livelihood because the local people are not hired in these people. They basically import from other areas of India. So the local people do not get enough job opportunities, which also affects their local livelihood. SEZs contributes to the real estate bloom and real estate zones. Their potential for revenue losses, and they have heavily subsidized because of the subsidy given to these SPZOs. There is a potential problem that could be faced in throughout the other countries. No wider public consultation. In a democracy like India, you probably need clearance from every sector of the country. But in such zones, you do not need the allocation from the rest of the public. The government officials allow it, then you could set up your business there. The water security is quite less there because the consumption of water in such industrial zones are high compared to the other industrial zones. Bypassing local government and ignoring the local communities. There are certain faiths in a country like India where it's culturally diverse and certain local communities follow certain business rules. But in such zones, those local communities are not informed about the laws set up by the business. So there's a communal clash because of it. And there's increase in regional disparities. Thank you.